Hi, this is episode 13, hopefully not an unlucky one, of Rory's Table Tennis Topics Talk Show. And I'd like to introduce my new co-host, which is Brett Holt, who appeared on the show last week. So we're going to be co-hosting the show from now on, hopefully. And we've got two new guests, Lee McHugh and Mark Tanner. And just to say, if you're watching this and you feel that you can contribute to the show as a guest in future episodes, just drop us a line on Facebook Messenger or get in touch via the YouTube comments or however you want to get in touch with us, either Brett or myself, and we'll see if we can get you involved. The more the merrier. Okay, so I'm just going to ask the two new guests to introduce themselves and go through how they got into table tennis and what they're doing and so on. So, Lee, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hello, my name's Lee McHugh. I am a full-time coach based out of Essex. I started coaching about 3 years ago. I've been a player for about 15 or 20 years.
How did you first get into table tennis, Lee?
My parents finding out about a club down the road from where I live when I was probably 12 or 13.
And how did they even think to, look for a table tennis club?
I think we'd played on, I can't remember, but we'd played on holiday and we had a table in our back garden. So already had a link there. So
I first played on holiday in France. That's how I got into it as well. Yeah. And then progressions. What age were you when you started, did you say?
When I started playing?
Yeah.
12 or 13.
Yeah. And did you go into local league play or how long did that take?
Pretty much straight in. Yeah, pretty much straight.
And
maybe
did you
have
much coaching as a junior, or was it all just self-taught?
Nothing massively formal. People at the club helping out, but nothing massively formal.
Like structured, organized sessions or one-to-ones or anything like that?
No one-to-ones, really. I mean, a long time. I'm 31. So what is that? That's could be 18 years ago. So
it's not as far back as me. I've been playing.
My memory's a bit hazy. Memory's a bit hazy when it comes to how the sessions were. They might have been more structured than what I'm remembering. I'm not remembering them.
Yeah. Well, I know I definitely had no structure. We just played in school. Played 3 hours a day in school, and that was it. There was no coaching. I never had coaching as a kid at all. Yeah. And I didn't start till I was 15. So yeah. But anyway, and then how did you get into coaching?
Just through friends that coach people. My friends who are coaches at the same clubs that I was already involved at, just kind of encouraging me to get involved. So I did my level 1 kind of with the aim of just helping as a volunteer and shipping in here and there. But then it gradually progressed into paid coaching, and then over time turned into like a full-time thing.
Was that Dave Gatherell that kind of convinced you?
He was one of the big ones for me. One of the big ones,
Yeah. And
quite a few friends encouraged it, but yeah, definitely David was one of the main ones.
So what were you doing before coaching? Like what job were you doing before coaching?
In my work life?
Yes.
My main jobs have been in shipping navigation, and IT. I did IT for the ambulance service, NHS. I've done a lot of like shorter temporary jobs as well. Yeah. I've done a lot of traveling. I'm a bit of a travel addict, so hence my CV is in tatters.
So have you got the level 2 coaching certificate now? Or
I'm in the middle of level 3.
I was going to ask, that was the next question. You're going to go for level 3, yeah.
Halfway through.
I mean, I did the original. I would say original. I did the ETTA level 3 back in 2001.
Okay.
Long time ago. So I did the level 1. Well, there was no level 1. You just went straight to level 2, which was I did that in the year 2000, I think. And then I did the level 3 course in 2001. I think I qualified in 2003. It's a 2-year kind of thing. And then, of course, the UKCC thing came in.
Yeah.
And I had to do everything all over again. So I had to do a level 2 bridging course first.
Okay. I didn't know that existence, actually.
You didn't know what existed?
A bridging course.
Yeah, it's for people who already had the old level 2 or 3 qualification. So I had to do a level 3 bridging course, and then I had to do the whole level 3 course.
Wow.
Which I think I got about 5 years ago. Yeah, so that was it. Yeah, and yeah, so you're working full time now, and hopefully you're hoping to keep going with that.
That's the plan.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Mark, your turn to introduce yourself. How did you get into table tennis, etc.?
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, Mark Tanner. I'm a sort of player and coach from a little town called Keynesham. I first got started in table tennis. I was probably about 8 to 9 years old, just at primary school. Yeah,
that's young.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, a lady from my church came around to our primary school. She was a qualified coach with the local league.
Nice.
I knew her anyway. Then she started doing Thursday night sessions at a senior school, so I went up there every Thursday through till I was about 14, maybe, when it shut down, and then just carried on playing league after that.
So you started playing league at 14, or before that?
Yeah, touch before. They entered like a junior team in the league, so you started your league games I think slightly earlier, about half an hour earlier, and then it had to finish by 9 o'clock, so you had to squeeze in all your games pretty quickly. In all fairness, I think some of the older players moaned a little bit at the time when they used to travel to us, because we never played our away games away, so it was always at home. So it was a nice initiative by the league, in all fairness.
I was going to say, it's good for juniors to not have to travel. I know there's some leagues that do that. With my club, I don't do that, but what I do, our venue is basically we have to be out by 10 o'clock. You got to be packed up and out really by 10 o'clock. So we play on 2 tables, or at least 1.5. We either have 3 tables for 2 matches, or actually 4 tables for 2 matches. And to be honest, initially, I mean, this was a few years ago. Initially, there was a lot of opposition to that with local leagues, like older guys. And it was like, oh, we're not going to play on 2 tables and all that. But that was back in 2008. And I think nowadays people just get on with it. No, I haven't had anybody complaining. Nobody's made any complaints about it. Like, I think it's just a thing. It's gradual. People get used to it over time. And it was initially, there's a lot of objections and, oh, I won't play that. But I think the more you do it gradually, and don't force it maybe on them, but just kind of the more you keep encouraging them. I think other leagues need to be looking to do that, so that you're finished at 10 and you can go home or do whatever, especially for the kids and people getting up early in the morning.
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to see something like that still happening now, in all fairness, but it's getting that junior coaching in the area back up and going in earnest. But it's a good time. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we've got a few questions as usual. And our first question, which I will direct to Lee, is around the implications of social media on the sport. So how can we use social media effectively to enhance the table tennis club experience, or any other kind of comments you'd like on social media use in table tennis? Lee, if you want to go first.
Yeah. Do you mean from a club point of view, or like a national TTE point of view?
You can anything. Yeah, so you can talk about clubs, table tennis England. You can talk about coaches.
Well, I think social media is one of the best use of social media in the sport is promotion, right? And we don't tend to do enough of it because we all have busy lives, and I'd love to see TTE doing more promotion. I know it costs money. Massively important for the growth and development of the sport. Just as much promotion and through social media as possible, I think, really. Obviously, it needs to be professional and polished.
What kind of which social media do you personally use?
Do I use what through my day-to-day coaching?
Yeah, as a coach,
including like messaging and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily.
I live on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like I have to kind of function.
Yeah. Okay. That does count. Yeah. That does count.
So WhatsApp for both individual contacts and also lots of groups, junior coaching groups, parent groups, groups just for coaches. Yeah. Club organization, tournament organization, organizing lifts, all that whole shebang, really. Live on WhatsApp.
I know you're pretty
nice to have everything in one. Nice to have everything in one place. That's what I like WhatsApp for. My clubs, most of my clubs that I'm involved with, I say my clubs, the clubs that I coach at, tend to have their own Facebook pages,
Yeah.
and quite often Instagram pages. I have my own Facebook and Instagram page, which are kind of obviously linked together. Yeah, I think that's always a good thing.
Is there anything that you think that you should be or could be doing better social media wise to increase your presence?
What, for like my clubs and me, and
Yeah.
just I wish I could just do more. I wish I had. It's an excuse, isn't it? Not having the time, because you just make the time. But I wish I had more time to just do more videos of sessions as they happen, obviously edited, so that it's not like, so it's neat and tidy.
I mean,
videos of sessions, videos of matches at tournaments of my players. I'd love to do some kind of. I love the Table Tennis Dailies blogs and stuff. I think they're brilliantly well made. I think there's room for more. Yeah, I haven't seen those yet, Brett. I'll give them a watch. I'll give them a watch.
I mean, basically during the lockdown, there's been a lot of use of social media, which is
stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been these talk shows. I mean, there's about 6 or 7 or 8 talk shows about tennis, and I've watched pretty much every episode of every single one.
Wow, that's commitment.
I'll tell you the ones I've watched, and maybe others might be interested in watching if they like this show. So, Table Tennis Scotland, on their YouTube account, they've got about 15 episodes of their show. Yeah. Then there's the ping pong show. Obviously, that was the one that kind of got me started on it. I was a guest on that about 4 times, and that got me thinking about doing my own show. The Balls and Old show, I was on their first episode of that one as well. And The Void, which is a whole load of ex-top table tennis players discussing, topics about table tennis. And am I missing any of them out?
Pitchford's.
The Pitch and Paul's Talking Balls.
Yeah,
Pitch and Paul's Talking Balls, which is like the top 2 players in England's show, plus with Steve Bailey. So yeah, there's been a lot of that talk shows. Table Tennis England was really good with their webinars. They had coaching webinars every week during the lockdown, and club webinars as well every week during the lockdown. They also signposted the coaches towards the Club Matters workshop, so I did all 6 of them. And what else? What other social media? Just Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. There's been a lot of and ITTF. ITTF has been doing their high performance webinars regularly, as well as short little coaching tactics and stuff videos, which they're releasing as well, and they've got a couple of interviews on there as well. Oh, and the TT Fit, they had a talk show as well. I forgot about them.
Yes,
the Northern Irish coaches and so on. They've got their own TT Fit show on YouTube as well. So yeah, there's been quite a lot going on. Mark, should I pass that question on to you? Can you talk a bit about social media use, maybe from your perspective, but also from what other people could be doing with it or are doing with it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's also randomly the British Army table tennis, their Instagram, and then they started a little YouTube channel with interviews of top players. Yeah, that was a random one I noticed.
Nice, smart, yeah. Well, I'll be interested to have a watch of that, see our boys in action.
Yeah, little one-on-one interviews. But yeah, this question was opened up quite a big sort of thought process and lots of directions to go. I mean, from a club point of view, using social media, sort of shout outs to members when they do something well or, performed well in the league. So giving that engagement one-to-one to those members, be that in a graphic and a little video shout out. I think that's quite important to recognize when someone's played in the league or done something well in that respect. That was my really narrow thought about that. And then also, as we kind of touched on earlier with Lee, that promotion, and giving the club an identity, a pride in the badge or the place that they've come from. You can really have at home with your Facebook, Instagram, etc. Just more pride in what we're doing, really, which sort of 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have access to get out to that wider audience.
Yeah, cool. Brett, I know you're very active on social media, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Do you want to talk about what you've done with your social media?
Yeah, I mean, recently I'm getting more into the marketing side of our sport, because social media is a vehicle that drives, sports talks across the globe, publicized, and it's the way for fans to reach out, like you behind the camera or wherever it may be, behind the closed door, you're reaching out to your fans, and your fans can, feel like, oh yeah, I'm a massive fan of Fan Shandong. I can just, go on my news feed and find out all the information and feel connected to that person. It's a massive way for that. And plus, I find that people that are coming into the sport, it's a way of it's in our DNA that you want to feel that you belong to somewhere. Your belonging, your need for, to feel, we need to connect, and that's just our human nature. And social media is open that door to say, let's remove all the barriers that people face out there. Let's reach out and connect.
Yeah, so you've done a lot of Facebooking, I would say, mainly, and YouTube. So one thing you've done is you advertise the tournaments that we've been running on Facebook, and your league has a Facebook page, and your club in Crawley has a Facebook page. So you're actively promoting those clubs via Facebook. And then another way that you've been, do you want to tell us about what you've been doing with your videos at the tournaments?
Yeah, so I mean, pre-lockdown, when we had the freedom to go around, I thought, well, I want to start recording grassroots table tennis, as it happens, because I mean, it's one thing watching, the top world 16 all the time, with all the fancy lights and all the, but most people, Mr. Joe Bloggs, who plays in Division 6 of the Bath and District League, they'd be so amazed if they seen their friend or their teammate or their team captain playing in like the handicap semi-finals or something, People will be like, yeah, and they get engaged, they feel connected, on a personal level. What I've noticed is that when people record these local matches, they just put the camera there and hit record. So, like, from a viewer's perspective, sometimes I watch some of these videos that certain people post up, and I'm like, I've got no idea what's going on. Don't have a clue. This is no information at all or anything like that. So what I started to do was I started to look into like adding a scoreboard. I'm looking at adding VAR, because you can add VAR onto video analysis now. And there's a software that I'm very much looking at developing more to meet my needs, so I can live stream with VAR on my game, showing like when someone, you do a serve where the most percentage that you're serving to, for example. And that can all be done just through video analysis through a stream.
Wow.
You don't need, all these £10 million worth of cameras that TTE seem to think you do. And I'm like, no.
Someone should give you a job, Brett.
So I started to record like Rory's 2-star tournaments. And then I put up a scoreboard over the top. I mean, if you ever watch a few of them, you can go through. I've got some British League coverage and that, and you'll see that there's a scoreboard. You've got your names, you've got your promotion of your club, where you're from, what tournament it was, what match it was, everything about it. So someone who's never ever seen it before can go, oh yeah, like Rory's versus some local 2-star tournament that Rory's in the final. Playing against a local lad in Brighton called Brandon Bennett. That video's up like 2,500 views now. And
I won.
Yeah, but people interact with it a lot, and especially the juniors, the kiddies, they absolutely love it.
I must admit, Brett, I was a bit skeptical when I saw you recording like matches from Division 1 of the Haywards Heath League, but they have had quite a few views, haven't they?
Yeah. I meant my little local league table tennis team. We've got a little fan club now. I mean, people know our team name. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
what? You know.
They're not all you, Rory, are they?
No, they're not me.
No?
I'm not even on his
Okay.
team. He's in a lower division from me. At least he was last year.
I meant the views.
Oh, the views.
Yeah, it could be him rewatching it. But yeah, it's but you know, I mean, and I've got a couple of videos of you know, some local juniors here, our top juniors, like George Knoll, who was on the show, the last episode 12. His finals video, I can't remember, Tom Chestnut, I think he played. And that's like over 1,000 views and still climbing. Because it was just amazing table tennis to watch. And without local people, you know, filming these matches in a nice way, you know, like adding a scoreboard, which is so simple to do, to add a scoreboard, you know, overlay onto a video. It's nothing. It takes me seconds.
So let me just go through quickly what I use social media for. I mean, pre-lockdown, I would always put match reports on there. I'm not sure how many people actually read them, but you know, every match basically that the club had, I did either me or someone else did a match report. Obviously, tournament reports as well. I was doing that mostly on Facebook, but you can also, you know, add the same report into Instagram as well. You know, it's Twitter or whatever, the same link. But then, like in the and also before that, I was doing some instructional YouTube videos, table tennis instructional videos, and I did a few of them in lockdown as well, mostly from home, obviously, because we couldn't go out. Something to do in the lockdown. It was quite interesting. And then I also did a video of my flatmate learning table tennis from beginner up to you know, local league level. So, and that was, we kind of played half an hour a day for 3 months during the lockdown, and took little like 10-15 second videos every day to show the progress. So that was quite an interesting one. So watch that video, everybody.
Yeah, and that young kiddie as well, he's been on your show, Bracken.
Arthur, he's been doing a load of trick shot videos.
Yeah, his trick shots. I mean, you know, the following he's got on social media is incredible. You know, he's got a really fan club.
This stuff is powerful. This stuff is powerful in terms of growth of the sport and just making people aware of the sport in general. And how great it can be. It's very powerful. I don't think you should underestimate the power of it, really. And the more that happens, the better.
I mean, it's Facebook in particular, I've found, is really great for advertising tournaments and events with people who are already on Facebook. What I haven't had much success with, I don't think, is like getting new members for your club. I've maybe picked up one or two here or there, but I haven't really found that it gets people for like senior British League team if you're looking for a player, National Junior League if you're a shorter player, that kind of thing. Not so good, at least in my experience, hasn't brought in players.
Well, where would you look? Where would you look if you're looking for a club? You'd Google it, right? So exactly. you need your website information to be findable, and top of the list, really. Yeah,
and I did a
That's
Google
what you do,
search
right?
on Horsham Spinners Table Tennis Club, and the website didn't come up. The TT League's website that we had didn't come up on the first page. So something needs to be done about that, I think. But I mean, social media use is endless. I mean, this show obviously started up in the lockdown, and obviously it's advertised on Facebook and Instagram, and it's obviously on YouTube itself. So I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless with social media.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
endless.
Okay, well, the second question I've got is how can we like market or advertise or publicize our clubs and our coaching services better? Maybe not including what we've already talked about with social media, like outside of social media, how can we do better to get more players playing table tennis in general? And this time I'll go to Mark first.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was I drafted my answer down here that you can't see. So I was looking more at you'd have to analyze it individually, but I was still looking at the social media element of it.
Okay, well, that's fine. You can say that one. Yeah.
So something simple is like engaging with every comment and every impression that your posts, etc., get. So be that a retweet, be that it's tagged in somewhere on Twitter, etc. So that's what I try and do. I forgot to say, I run Keynesham Table Tennis Club that I started up about 3 years ago. Just out of nothing. So, I kind of ensure that on our social platforms, that if anyone mentions us or comments or, sends a private message, it react as quickly as humanly possible. It's not always possible when you're at work, etc. But yeah, just making sure that engagement is high.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And then also learning the analytics and the platforms themselves, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, be it Instagram, and what they can and can't do, and what other people are putting out on there to get better engagement. So individually for each club and each coach out there, that's a very important skill to learn, because everybody at the end of the day is now a media company. As soon as you put your personal Facebook up online, or you fill out a form online, you've suddenly advertised yourself to potentially millions, billions of people around the world. And then just the only other point to add to that as well is just understanding, what everything is for. So, video messages are particularly powerful at the minute, as we've seen on here. So make sure if you're watching now, you haven't subscribed to Rory's channel, do that now.
Comment, subscribe.
Exactly. Yeah, Linksport do that very well, actually. Yeah, but again, it's using those trendy, if you like, or the on the on-trend platforms like video at the moment, where we've got time to do it, and again, the facilities to do it just on someone's phone. Making sure we're utilising that as best as we can to help promote our clubs, our sport, and everything else that we do.
And Mark, you've actually got your own little show I didn't talk about. You've done some interviews with some local players, haven't you, on your YouTube?
Yeah, so again, it was kind of out of lockdown that I started up my own sort of YouTube channel. So go and check that out now. Mark Tanner Table Tennis on the old YouTube search.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, no, Brett's been very complimentary with comments. And yeah, then like I just want to get more messages out there that table tennis is available in the community, wherever you live in the UK or abroad. Make sure that people seek it out and play the sport that we all love and enjoy. And it helps, flesh out. Like, say, I've heard of Rory Scott before I saw your shows, Rory.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but now you've fleshed out your character and your persona. And similar with Brett now, having commented bits and pieces on mine, now suddenly fleshed out a persona. So, we're actually all networking a lot more than, we ever could do.
I think it's been great. Yeah, people have been communicating more over lockdown than ever before. And I think some good things will come out of it, networking and communication. So Lee, what's your take on this?
Just echo everything Mark just said. Very well said. Communication, networking, promotion, tying it all together, talking to each other is just absolutely crucial to the growth of the sport, and learning from each other. I mean, social media, that's what it's also brilliant for, isn't it? It's learning for each other as well, and enhancing our own skills and knowledge, and lending each other a hand, really, isn't it? It's I'm involved in about 5 different clubs on top of all of my sort of one-to-one stuff, and I've tried to make a habit of not posting every day through my Instagram and Facebook, but at least every other day or a few times a week with photos or videos from a club session I was at, or maybe a one-to-one session, usually all to do with praise, very often saying like, look how great this kid's doing, like check out, like that's a name for the future, check out that kid. Especially a lot of people that follow me are quite local to me as well, so they're going to relate to it even more, because they're literally going to know who these people are as well. So,
just on your one-to-one coaching, just a question not really related to the topic, but if you're coaching at those 5 clubs one-to-one, can you, like, do they charge you for the venue, or can you get it for free, or
no one answer, varies.
It varies.
Clubs, I tend to do most of my one-to-one at a venue that isn't separate to my junior group sessions. Junior group sessions tend to be quite isolated and without one-to-one. Occasionally I'll sort of tag one on at the end or before, and they'll be paying an hourly rate.
Now, actually, just talking about one-to-ones, because you say, I mean, how many hours of one-to-ones do you do per week on average? I know it varies, but
between 10 and 20.
Yeah, so I've been a full-time coach for 15 years, and I've probably never done more than about 5 hours of one-to-one in any particular week.
Wow, okay.
In that 15 years. All 90% of my work is group coaching. And that's mainly in schools. So I do before school clubs, lunchtime clubs, after school clubs, and then the evening clubs down the main club venue. So I mean, I've got my one club, but I'm also coaching at various different schools, about 7 or 8 different schools.
Yeah.
But like in my experience, there's never been any demand for one-to-one.
It's about 50-50 for me in terms of junior group and one-to-one, and my one-to-one is adults and juniors of all ages.
Yeah.
It's
and
about 50. It's about 50-50 ratio, yeah. So I get a ton of demand for it, absolute ton of demand for it.
Yeah, it's funny, and you're not the only one. I mean, people like Tom Lodziak, Ellie Baratti, a lot of coaches seem to do a lot of one-to-one. I have never experienced any demand for one-to-one. I know there are. I mean, I do probably, like I say, 5 hours a week or less of one-to-one. But people, it's like, oh, it's too expensive, because obviously it's like a lot more expensive to do a one-to-one. So like it's £25 an hour for one-to-one, not including the venue hire, and then the group session is like £8 for 2 hours. So I mean, most people just say, oh, I'll just do the group session. They don't realize necessarily that the benefit of, obviously you get what you pay for. I mean,
they'll realize when they have one.
What's that? Yeah, but
they'll realize when they have one. Well, that's what I've found. But
yeah, but they don't go for that
for everyone.
one-to-one.
It's not for everyone. Yeah.
They don't even go. I mean, like I said, I'm and even in all my one-to-ones are all adults. I don't coach any juniors one-to-one.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's the parents, they think it's too expensive. Yeah, so I was just saying about one-to-ones, because I do a lot of group coaching and school coaching, I don't need to do one-to-ones as such. So I don't chase people out. I don't chase people up. But my general kind of experience of when I have encouraged people to do one-to-one is that, oh, it's too expensive, or that they generally don't reply. So yeah, just interested to know how Lee has built up a good number of one-to-ones, and obviously it's basically about 2 years. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that, Lee, or
just that I found the opposite, really. A lot of the time people seeking them out, and some of the time me prompting them, or just like reminders saying like, when's our next session? I don't mind doing that. They can always say no.
No, if somebody comes to me for a one-to-one, obviously I'll say, when are we next doing one? But they they don't even come for the first one-to-one,
I've just found there's a lot of demand, at least where I am. It could be an area thing. It could.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I do one-to-ones from kids for juniors.
Yeah.
From juniors from all 5 of the different clubs I work at.
Yeah.
Evening clubs. Adults from local leagues in the area that knew me before I was even a coach. A mixture of adults and juniors.
I don't push it enough, and I don't kind of chase people up enough. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's one of those things. Yeah. Anyway, had you any more comments to say on that topic about advertising and publicizing clubs and coaching sessions, or?
Yeah, just that I wish I could do more. I plan to do more. I'd love to do my own. I've never done any sort of tutorial instructional videos like you've done, and like many coaches have done. I'd love to do some of that.
Give it a go.
Yeah, that was something I thought of doing many years ago, 10, 15, I don't know how many years ago. I thought about doing, but it's one of those things. Now that you have videos on phones, it's so much easier. You just get a tripod. I haven't had any specialist equipment. It's all done on my iPhone. So it's easy. Anybody can do it, really. So anyway, moving that same.
Bowl, right?
Yeah. Moving on to Brett, can you answer that question about publicizing and marketing clubs and what you do yourself? Because I know you do quite a bit of it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, with my publications, and I'm just looking at also, when we, if when we eventually come out of this, you know, quite a bit of a lockdown still, you know, maybe in about a year's time or so, I want to restart for our local area of writing those local table tennis columns back in the local newspaper, you know, because when I was, you know, a young kid, you know, when I was playing in the local league at that time, I used to grab my local paper just to see if my name was printed, you know, in like Division 6 or something, you know,
Brett,
that league. I was like,
I do agree
where
with
am I?
you.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
were a young kid, that would have been great. But nowadays in
Oh, I
2020, I'm not.
dunno.
How many people read the local newspaper?
I think
A
they
lot.
do,
20.
Rory. I
Yeah,
think they
they do a
do.
lot.
A
Do
Yeah.
they?
guy called Eamon Hall, who effectively runs one of the clubs that I coach at
Mm.
on a
Yeah.
weekly basis, juniors in the evenings. He has just got away with, I don't know, he just knows how to get in the papers, and he gets
Yeah.
kind of double page spread with photos
Wow.
and match reports. And he's a funny writer anyway. He's sort of a talented, funny writer anyway. And he gets it in quite a few. And I'm just at a club and someone will say, "Oh, read this the other day" or something.
Yeah.
So people still do. Obviously, the internet is taking over, but
Yeah.
I think the written word in paper form is still, in terms of reporting local league and stuff, I think it's still there.
Yeah, and
I'll tell you what. When
Still
I
there.
was
you know,
like
the black and white, isn't it?
It's still there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still there.
when I was like 16, 17, whatever age I was, I can't remember. I remember like going to the newspaper every whatever day it came out, Thursday or whatever, to check the sports columns, see something about table tennis. And I used to always take a clipping and keep it and kept it in a scrapbook. Like, no, I didn't put it like into the, I just put it all, I just shoved them all into the middle of a book basically.
Yeah.
And I think I probably still have them, you know, they're probably still in the kind of storeroom somewhere. Be interesting to try and dig them out, see if there's anything interesting on there. But
That's
I
it,
was
yeah.
just taking anything to do with table tennis, mostly with nothing to do with me whatsoever. But just like I even probably cut out the county AGM is on next Saturday at 2
But match reports through, like weekly local league reports, you know, just covering the division's action of the week, are amazing. And they rely on so much voluntary work. But none of these local league press officers are getting paid a penny, really, are they? And they put in
and
so many
especially,
hours.
you know, when you're advertising, because you can use that same little column space as well to advertise your league, you know, and then, you know, you only got to leave a few notes on there just to say, you know, our league nights are Wednesday night, come and see us.
That should be on there as well, yeah.
That's all you need to do.
So going back to my kind of view on this topic of like advertising clubs, I mean, one thing that's come out of lockdown is I've done a few kind of webinar things to do with marketing, just general marketing, and also to do with like sport. About website is, you know, keep the homepage of your website quite simple, and don't have it too complicated. You know, maybe, you know, make sure the contact details are there, and the, you know, maybe some nice picture and video, maybe a nice video of someone playing table tennis at your club, and just, you know, make it kind of vibrant. Make sure you got a good website, good website presence. You know, it's quite important. Obviously, you want to be on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all that. And word of mouth actually still is very important, because you know, you might see an ad, you might see an ad in a paper or Facebook or wherever, but if your best friend or a neighbor comes to you and says, "Oh, I've been to this club, it's great," you know, you're gonna come along. I mean, actually, I probably get as many people from word of mouth as I do going into all the schools. You know,
I think word of mouth is my main. I think word of mouth is my main form of advertising in a way, in terms of effectiveness.
Yeah, because if your friend likes it, you know, you kind of trust them rather than just say, "Oh, I see something on Facebook." You know, if it's someone that you know and they've been to the club and they've enjoyed it, and they're gonna come along. And once you've got them in the door, that's obviously that's the hardest thing. Usually, once you get them in the door, you've got them. So word of mouth, definitely, and you know, simple things like flyers. I know it's a bit maybe old fashioned, but you know, I've given out some while over the lockdown when I've been playing tennis, and I've seen some kids playing tennis with their parents, and I've given the parents some flyers to the club. And I think you just got to do what you can, and there's different ways of approaching it. Now, other thing is that you can do is you can provide incentives to your club members. Like, for example, in my club, I've got a £25 annual club membership fee, which doesn't include the cost of the actual coaching sessions. It just goes towards like equipment and venue hire or whatever. So if I've said to people, if they can get a new member to sign up and pay in advance for like the club coaching sessions for the term, which is £115, then that player who recommended the new player doesn't need to pay the £25 club membership fee, and also the new member doesn't need to pay the £25.
I like it. I like that. That's used. That tactic's used a lot, isn't it? In different ways, so in life. So
if you give something for free, I mean, this is one thing I've been picked up on these marketing things. If you give something for free, that it's kind of, they think, oh, well, I've got something for free, so they're more likely to come. I mean, I'm not saying that I've had a lot of success with it yet. Another thing that I have tried, and it's just starting to work now, with the people that play once a week and you want them to play a bit more. What I've done is, like I said, it's £115 to come once a week for the term. That's a 2-hour coaching session. It's 15 sessions. That's 30 hours, basically. And what I've done is, I've said, if anybody wants to come along twice a week, they've only got to pay an extra £15. So it's £130 to come twice a week, and it's £115 to come once a week. So I'm trying to get, I'm making the second session, extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want people to be playing more than once a week so that they're going to get better. And a few people this term, for the first time, have actually taken that up, and they're coming twice a week now, which is what you want, really. That's how to get better. So there's a few different tactics. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but
experiment.
Exactly, I've got a long way to go. I've still got quite a small club, and and the other thing that I've done, I applied for 2 grants from Table Tennis England last year, and I got them. So one was for the BETT, which is for building better experiences. So I got under 11s funding. I think it was £800 or something like that, to run 30 sessions, which for free, so the kids don't pay anything. And then another session that was for under 11s. Another session of another £750, I think I got, which was for between 11 to 19-year-olds, and I've done that in a school session. Again, that was free for the players. And a third thing I've done is the TT Kids session. So again, Table Tennis England provided me with the kit bag for free, which is like worth £350. I paid £37 to do the training course, activator course, which probably wasn't necessary because it was fairly basic anyway. But anyway, the thing is that they give you a lot of flyers and advertising and material to get the new players in, and once you've got them through the door, again, the chances are, if not, remain as members of your club afterwards. And what I've done is I've actually combined the 2 sessions together. So I've got the BETT session, and then directly after that is the TT Kids session. So some of them are doing 2 hours.
You've also got local council sports fundings available to you as well,
Yes, you mentioned that your club has, or is it your Haywards Heath or Crawley Community?
Crawley Community, my club has Active Sussex, the county level funding as well.
Yeah, but with these kind of grants and TT Kids courses, what you've got to do is provide an ongoing opportunity to play. So when these courses come to an end, so they're running this term, they've got another 8 or 9 weeks to go. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to continue that time slot, Tuesday 4:30 to 6:30. But obviously they're going to have to pay for it after that. But at least they're going to have the opportunity to stick with that time slot in the same venue, so they can have an outlet so they can keep playing.
And it's got to be sustainable.
Exactly.
It's the most important thing to put into planning when you get funding for anything and then use it is make it
Sustainability.
long-term sustainability is the most important
Yeah.
thing.
There's very little
in my
point in
opinion.
me just accepting this funding, running the sessions, and then saying, "Oh, thank you very much, Table Tennis England," but then don't run it. No, you've got to have the possibility of continuing. There's no guarantee that they're going to continue.
It needs to be able to support itself in its own way as when that money dries up as well. It needs to be able to perpetuate itself.
Definitely. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last question, which is about VAR and the implications of VAR, which I think stands for virtual assistant referee. Basically, it's a bit like your Hawkeye from in Wimbledon. It's an action replay in table tennis pro tour events and professional tournaments. They've introduced it already with limited success so far, in my opinion, because why I say limited success is that it was taking quite a long time for the replay to be shown and for the decision to be made. But in theory, it's really good. Basically, I've seen it twice or three times, and the umpire, so umpire makes a decision. Obviously, the player challenges the decision, same as they would in Wimbledon, and then they look back. And actually, the umpire, I think, was right on all three, I think, occasions that I've seen it being used. But it's interesting to be able to have that opportunity to challenge the umpire, a bit like the challenge that the line calls at Wimbledon. So, Brett, I'll ask you first this time for your opinion on this, the implications.
Yeah, the implications are huge, because when the ITTF did use it, on the world stage, the VAR technology, there was a couple times that the world number one challenged the umpire in their decision, saying, "Oh no, you're wrong. I'm like serving correctly. The ball is traveling, in a verticalish manner." And the referee was adamant to the world number one here at this stage, live in front of everyone, saying, "No, you're, the ball it's not traveling upwards, And this
doesn't it as well?
Yeah, so the world number one, went, "What? I'm world number one. How can you be calling me?" So he challenged the decision of the referee, and they had the technology, in use during this match. So the umpire done the little box of saying under review. They waited, for a couple minutes. The umpire then had the video footage fed to their pad right next to him on the seat. She looked at it, and it clearly shows, the ball wasn't in, a legal vertical direction. That the ball was miles off, and the umpire was right, in making that decision. But
if anything, they're too lenient, the umpires. I mean, you do see players starting with the ball in the middle of the table and then throwing it back to the backhand.
Oh, what with service rules?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. But also if they're not a high level trained, really experienced umpire, they will just sit there.
Brett, shouldn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, you could even bring it down to like, I'm messing around with technology at the moment that can do VAR directly off a video feed. So I don't need, and so I don't need any special equipment or anything for this.
I mean, obviously the technology will improve, and they'll be able to do quicker action replay. So in the future, it would be a lot better than it was when they first introduced it. Lee, do you want to give your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for rule enforcement, and it's also great because it could, not yet, but when it's more polished, it could make it more of a spectacle, just like Hawkeye is in tennis.
Yeah.
We all love it. We all love it when it goes, the crowd starts clapping, like, what's it going to be, right or wrong? That's great. It's brilliant.
Have a little laugh. See the ball is 2 feet out or something.
It's great. I mean, edges and side calls. I watched one. It was a long time ago now. It must have been a year ago, or there was an edge and side, kind of an edge or side viral VAR clip that went around.
Yeah.
And I watched it with some mates, and I just swore I would have bet my house on it that it was. I can't remember which way I said, but I was just like, "There's no way the ball would have hit it and bounced up if it wasn't, one or the other." And I was wrong, and VAR, and I was like, "No way, really." and then had all these interesting theories about how, you know, that line between the edge and the side, that how maybe a ball traveling at that velocity could actually almost deform in the air, and maybe deform it actually hits the table. So, you know, almost actually is able to touch. So a ball's actually able to touch the top of the white line on the table, even though it's also connected at the side. I think, am I making sense?
Yes.
It's such a ridiculously, you know, for a judge to do that for an umpire to do it with their naked eye, I think is mad. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the umpire's got to make their decision. That's the rule. And I've obviously a county umpire and a referee, and one of the things you're told is you make a decision and you stick with it, and you don't, you know, you can't be indecisive as an umpire. But obviously, umpires are human; they can make mistakes, and it does give the player the opportunity to pick up on when they do, or at least when they think the person made a mistake. There was an interesting one with Timo Boll. I can't remember who he was playing, but he hit what looked like an around the net roller shot, but on the action replay, it actually touched a column on the side of the table before he hit it, but it looked like it hit the net clamp, which is not part of the surface. So it hit the net, and then it hit this column which was coming up from the table as opposed to the net clamp. And then Timo hit it round the net, and it was a roller, and he dived on the floor. And everyone thought it was Timo's point, but it wasn't.
Some edge or side calls are just really hard, and I think VAR is only going to make that better, isn't it? It's brilliant.
But it can also be used for statistics, and there's a lot of people. You know, like especially like cricket fans, for example. They love the statistics, you know, and all these people that go down the pub and bet with their mates, go down the bookies. They want to know the stats, you know, of like, you know, 80% of the balls going here, you know, and
the VAR will have all the stats, how many backhand winners, how many unreturned serves,
service placement, X amount of serves being returned, short to backhand, long to forehand. Brilliant for the sport.
Playing tracked, you know, in every way. So
players can also analyze their own game back at that as well, can't they?
Yeah,
and the coaches can use it as well.
It's massive.
Mark,
for coaching,
your tuppence on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're going to get a table tennis manager soon video game, isn't it? If we get all these stats going on, which is going to be great.
There we go.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But no, I don't know whether my notepad's visible, but I think Lee took every point I had written down to see there. So yeah, it was just to say that it's more like formalizing, you know, like the tennis. Everyone's used to watching Wimbledon on TV and seeing those line calls, and you know, when the players challenge the umpire and the clapping and the cheering and the anticipation. I think that's only going to be a good thing for our sport if we can get some sort of standardized rules similar in line to tennis. So then when the average Joe spectator comes and watches high level performance table tennis, you know, this new, say, World Series that is coming out at the moment, all the promo for that looks fantastic as a side note. And again, I think Dan Ives and his boys are starting to drip feed us little bits of some sort of Super League in the UK, hopefully. But
yeah, I saw something about that. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but yeah.
No, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I just hope that TT are involved somehow. But anyway, that's a side note. But going back to, like, you know, everybody sort of watching more table tennis, I think standardizing, making it more in line with the tennis on those calls would be fantastic for our sport. And also bring out some characters as well, because one of the criticisms on, I forget which show it was actually, I think it might have been the Balls and All show, last one with the two American guests, said about how how they don't have too many characters in table tennis, because there's a lot of very model pros, very nice gentlemen playing the sport, but you know, getting a few lively characters doing these net calls, etc., you know, might increase the viewership. And you know,
we need Jungjica back, smashing up some barriers, don't we?
Exactly.
Come on, let's bring him back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The bad boy, the only bad boy table tennis has ever had. Let's get him back and punching someone, punching an umpire. Come on, let's go.
Stood on that table ripping his shirt off.
Get your shirt off. Yeah, he did, kick down the barriers. Brilliant.
Nice one. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the show there. Thank you very much, everybody, for your contributions. Lee, Mark, and Brett. And we'll hopefully be back next week on, early in the week with another show. Okay,
Cheers,
thanks,
guys.
everybody.
See ya.
Bye now.
Bye then.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.